Hersheypark finally announced the name and layout of their newest roller coaster debuting next year. We knew they'd be getting one, we knew it would be a B&M Hyper, but we didn't know any of the stats or what it would officially be called. But the headlining attraction of the new Chocolatetown area is Candymonium. And I'm going to talk about the name later because I definitely have an opinion on it, but I want to get to the basics about this ride before we really dive in. You're looking at a 210-foot height, max speed of 76 miles per hour, 4,636 feet of track, and a duration of 2 minutes and 26 seconds. And if anyone is interested in comparing those stats to another ride that might look similar to this, Mako at SeaWorld Orlando is 10 feet shorter. However, Mako is actually a longer ride with 4,760 feet of track. And the reason I specifically bring up Mako is because the first half of Candymonium is very similar to Mako. Candymonium doesn't make that left-hand turn that Mako does, but the big airtime hills, that turnaround, pretty much exactly the same. Where it really differs is going to be the ending. It's also worth noting that Candymonium will be the fastest ride in the park as it is 1 mile per hour faster than Skyrush. Skyrush goes 75, this will go 76. And I know there's a lot of talk, there's people saying, why on earth is Hershey getting a second hypercoaster? The thing you have to keep in mind is that Skyrush is so intense. I think it's more intense than anyone was originally expecting. It is all about ejector airtime and non-stop ridiculousness. This coaster is going to be the GP crowd pleaser. Don't be surprised if this becomes the public's new favorite ride. It is going to be so vastly different from Skyrush. I've never had any doubt in my mind that this will be a good fit for this park. So you will never hear any complaints from me about this edition. I think it's an awesome fit, and now that we know a little bit more information about the layout, I think it looks like a very good ride. There is this one banked hill that I think looks very cool, very different from what you see on most traditional B&M hypercoasters. So I think that'll probably be the one element in this coaster that I'm most intrigued to know how it's going to feel. It reminds me almost of a smaller version of Fury's treble cliff, that very top part where it banks out and then drops down. If I had to take a guess, that's probably what it's going to feel like, just on a smaller level. Something that I think is interesting, look at how many rows are on this coaster. 6. How many other B&M hypercoasters only have 6 rows? Most have at least 8. Some have 7, but correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the shortest train we've ever seen on a B&M hypercoaster. You can look at that as a way of saying, okay, we're going to make the elements tighter, which will require a shorter train, but also you can look at it as B&M's way of saying, we think it'll be too extreme for people in the back, and so we're going to tighten the train up. Which, if that's the case, that's kind of disappointing to me, because if you had a longer train, it might be more extreme or more thrilling back there. But 6 rows, not quite as much. So I can't really say I'm a big fan of that, especially when this will also reduce capacity by quite a bit. But something I do like about this coaster is I think it's going to become pretty iconic simply because of its location. It will be the first ride you will see when you'll enter Hersheypark. If you look at these renderings, you can actually see just how close it'll be to the front gate. The entrance will not be in the plaza of when you enter the park. You actually go up a pathway and then go down into its own separate plaza where you'll have the big Candymonium sign, the station, all that good stuff. What will be in the front entry plaza is gonna be the end helix, where the coaster will go around this Hershey's Kisses fountain that they have. Now it'll kind of be your centerpiece. So that's why I say this coaster is gonna get photographed quite a bit. It's also worth noting that the theme for this coaster is one of the few actual candy themes in the park. I mean, think about most of the rides that they have here. They generally do not have that Hershey theme, but a lot of their more recent additions do. You look at the Reese's Shootin' Dark ride, Hershey's Triple Tower, and now this. One other thing I wanted to point out that I haven't heard too many people mention, this pretty much has the same exact theme as the Hershey's Triple Tower. I mean, it's not exactly a very big theme, and I certainly wouldn't expect a lot of theming to go wrong with this ride, but with the Hershey's Triple Tower, you have the Hershey's Chocolate Bar, the Reese's Tower, and then the Hershey's Kisses Tower, and those happen to be the same exact 3 trains that will be running on this coaster. So it's like, choose your candy, which one do you want to ride on? And it's like, well, you kind of already did that with the Drop Tower, but okay, I mean, whatever. I think it'll still look good having the different colored trains on the track. That being said, do I like the Candymonium name? Not particularly. I think I've mentioned this before. I think it would be a better name for a flat ride. I don't think it's a bad name, but as for a name for a big old B&M hypercoaster, I don't know about that. I think it's kind of tacky, so I do wish that they maybe named it something else. I'm fine with the candy theme, but I feel like there were other options out there. I don't know, that's just me though. At the end of the day, it's still going to be a good ride. I'm excited to see this thing open. It's going to be a great anchor for this new Chocolatetown area. It's really going to change the skyline of the park, which is something I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. They've already started vertical construction, so they're well underway. I'm looking forward to watching the progress of this thing go up, and then eventually riding it when it opens next year. But that's just my take on Candymonium, the new B&M hypercoaster at Hersheypark. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this new ride? Post all that down in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with me. And of course, stay tuned for more Hersheypark and Candymonium related videos. They'll be coming to Coaster Studios at a later date, so stay tuned for those, and we'll see you next time.